Have you ever wondered why Hollywood has a strict code of conduct? Why certain things are just off? It wasn't always this way. In the roaring 20s, Hollywood was the Wild West of fame, fortune, and scandal. But one event, a single tragic party, was so shocking, so explosive, that it brought the entire industry to its knees and forced it to change forever. This is a story they tried to bury the scandal that created the Hollywood we know today. Slight pause for dramatic effect. The year is 1921, San Francisco. Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle is on top of the world. He's one of the highest paid actors in Hollywood, a comedy genius beloved by millions, second only to Charlie Chaplin. He's the king of slapstick, a pioneer of the form. He has just signed a groundbreaking contract with Paramount Pictures for $1 million a year. That's over $15 million in today's money. To celebrate, he and a couple of friends drive up to San Francisco for a little Labor Day weekend getaway. They check into the St. Francis Hotel, booking a suite of rooms, 1219, 1220, and 1221. The plan, a small, private party. But this was Hollywood's elite. Small was a relative term. The celebration quickly swelled as friends, acquaintances, and hangers-on filled the rooms. The atmosphere was lively, the drinks were flowing, and everything seemed fine. Among the guests was a young, aspiring actress named Virginia Rappy. She was known in Hollywood circles, a beautiful but somewhat frail woman who had dreams of making it big. What happened next in that hotel suite would be debated in courtrooms and newspapers for years. The accounts are conflicting, shrouded in the fog of a wild party and decades of sensationalism. According to some witnesses, Virginia Rappy suddenly became ill. She was found in one of the bedrooms, room 1219, in extreme pain. Arbuckle was in the room with her, trying to help. He placed her on the bed and put ice on her stomach to soothe her, thinking she was simply suffering from the effects of the party. The hotel doctor was called, and he diagnosed her with intoxication. He gave her a morphine injection for the pain and moved her to another room to rest. But Virginia's condition didn't improve. It worsened dramatically. A few days later, she was rushed to the hospital. On September 9th, 4 days after the party, Virginia Rappy was dead. The official cause of death was a ruptured bladder and peritonitis. And that's when the story exploded. A friend of Virginia's at the party, a woman named Bambina Maud Delmont, went to the police with a horrifying accusation. She claimed that Roscoe Arbuckle, the jolly, lovable comedian, had assaulted Virginia in that hotel room, and that his immense weight had caused her fatal injuries. The story was a bombshell. It was salacious, shocking, and it involved one of the biggest stars on the planet. The media latched onto it with a frenzy. William Randolph Hearst's newspaper empire, known for its sensationalist yellow journalism, went into overdrive. Headlines screamed across the country, painting Arbuckle as a monster. They didn't just report the accusation, they convicted him in the court of public opinion before he even stepped foot in a courtroom. He was no longer the funny, lovable fatty. He was a depraved brute. The public, who had adored him, turned on him with a vengeance. His films were pulled from theaters, boycotted by newly formed moral crusader groups. His career, once a shining beacon of success, was extinguished overnight. Arbuckle was put on trial? Not once, not twice, but 3 times. The first 2 trials ended in hung juries. The prosecution's case was weak, relying heavily on the testimony of Maud Delmont, whose story kept changing and whose credibility was questionable. It was later revealed she had a history of extortion. Furthermore, medical evidence suggested Virginia Rappy had a history of chronic bladder issues that could have been aggravated by the party, without any assault taking place. Many witnesses from the party testified that Arbuckle had been nothing but kind, trying to help a sick woman. Finally, the 3rd trial. This time, the jury took only 6 minutes to deliberate the verdict. Not guilty. They didn't just acquit him. They took the extraordinary step of issuing a formal written apology. The jury foreman read it aloud. Acquittal is not enough for Roscoe Arbuckle. We feel that a great injustice has been done him. There was not the slightest proof adduced to connect him in any way with the commission of a crime. He was manly throughout the case and told a straightforward story, which we all believe. We wish him success and hope that the American people will take the judgment of 14 men and women that Roscoe Arbuckle is entirely innocent and free from all blame. an apology, a complete exoneration. You'd think this would be the end, that his name would be cleared and his career restored, but it wasn't. The damage was done. The scandal had been too big. The media portrayal too vicious. The court of public opinion had already passed its sentence. Hollywood was terrified. The Arbuckle scandal, combined with a few other high-profile incidents, created a massive public relations crisis. Religious groups and conservative organizations were calling for government censorship of the film industry. They saw Hollywood as a den of sin, corrupting the nation's morals. The studio heads knew they had to do something drastic to save their business. So they created the Motion Picture Producers and Distributors of America, or the MPPDA, and to run it, they hired a man named Will H. Hayes, the Postmaster General of the United States, a man with a squeaky clean, conservative reputation. This was the birth of the Hayes Office, their first major act. They banned Roscoe Arbuckle from ever appearing in an American film again. Despite being found innocent by a court of law, he became the sacrificial lamb to prove Hollywood was cleaning up its act. They needed to make an example of someone, and his was the most notorious name. But it went further. The Hayes Office introduced the Hayes Code, a set of strict moral guidelines that all films had to follow. It dictated everything. Crime could never be shown to pay. Authority figures like police and clergy had to be respected. Any hint of passion had to be handled with extreme care. The code even included a morality clause in actor contracts, allowing studios to fire them for any off-screen behavior that could cause a scandal. This one tragic party in 1921 didn't just end a man's career. It fundamentally reshaped the entire American film industry. For the next 30 years, every movie you saw was filtered through the lens of the Hayes Code. The freedom and wildness of early cinema were gone, replaced by a rigid, self-imposed censorship born out of fear. Roscoe Arbuckle, the innocent man at the center of it all, was crushed by the machine he helped build. He eventually found some work directing under a pseudonym, but he never regained his former glory. He died in 1933 at the age of 46, his name forever tied to a crime he didn't commit. The story of Fatty Arbuckle is a sobering reminder of the power of media, the danger of rushing to judgment, and how a single, sensationalized event can change the course of history. It's the ghost that still haunts Hollywood, a cautionary tale buried beneath the glitz and glamour. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that shaped our world. Let me know in the comments what you think about this forgotten chapter of Hollywood history. See you in the next one.